Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk exclusively about one band. If you've never listened to this podcast before, we talk about a band that is currently celebrating 35 years. We are so excited to talk about Dave Matthews Band. Every episode of this show is a different fan that's come forward to talk about their why. When did they meet Dave Matthews Band as far as hearing it or hearing about it? Why do they still listen to it? And how's it maybe affected their life? And so every episode is one that you have to catch. If you find one that you don't like, that's okay. Just skip to the next one. Not every story is going to be for everyone. But this is episode 201. So you have lots of choices when you're going through the episodes. You just pick one. Again, if you don't like it, skip to the next one. All of these are available on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch, you can. So today, of course, I have a guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Tell us who you are, where in the world are you, and tell us something cool about you.
Well, my name's Jake Renick Simpson, and where in the world am I right now? I'm in Montana, which typically would be covered with snow out here, but it's like 50 degrees today. So,
yeah,
I'm up in Montana, and something cool about me? I don't know, man.
Come on, give us something. You know, there's something cool, right? You got a bird, you got a pet, you got what do you like to do?
Unfortunately, I don't have any pets because I basically live on the road. You know, I'd love to have a dog, but someday. Yeah, I guess something cool is I live on the road. I live a really unique lifestyle, and I'm thankful for that. And it is cool. I've wanted my whole life to live on a bus, and now I am. So that's cool.
That is really cool. I think a lot of people will hear that and agree, be like, yeah, that is something that I would love to do, or even just know more about, because that life is so very, very different than living in a house and, you know, all the things, right, that we have convenience of in our home versus a bus. And so I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But of course, I'm going to ask you first, when was the very first time that you ever heard of this band that we love so much, Dave Matthews Band?
Well, I didn't know that Dave had a band for the first year or so of me listening to Dave Matthews. I was riding to school with my cousin Derek, and because he was a year older than me, and my house was on the way to school, so he'd swing by and pick me up. And I had grown up playing bluegrass music and country music, and but I loved all different kinds of music, and he was playing Dave and Tim live from Radio City.
Hell yeah!
And I was like, "What is this?" You know, it's like, "Oh, this is Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds," and I was like, "This is cool." So I mean, we listened to that every day.
Yeah.
And then,
can I ask you just real quick, like what was it about it? Like, what caught your ear?
Well, I mean, like, I guess like being a musician, hearing the way that Tim and Dave interacted with each other.
Yeah.
That was something that stood out to me as being really cool. Even when I was 15 years old, 14, 15 when I started listening. But and also, the way that the fans sing back every song, that was something that really stood out to me, and especially later on when I heard the band, and I heard the fans singing back while the band would just play, and the fans would sing the whole song, and that made me want to write songs that people wanted to sing. That was one of the first times that I ever had the thought that maybe I wanted to be a songwriter. But yeah, so we would drive to school every day together and listen to Dave and Tim, and then I don't remember what song it was or when it was exactly, but I remember one day he played something and I was like, "Who is this?" He was like, well, "This is the Dave Matthews Band." And I was like, "He has a band?"
What?
I had
This
no
guy's doing
idea.
everything.
I know. And so then, I mean, we just started listening to everything. And I have to give my cousin a lot of credit. Him and his dad, they played every Dave song, and Derek would play Tim's parts, and
Damn.
his dad would play Dave's parts, and they were really really good.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's really going riding to school with my buddy. The first time I heard the band was I do remember it was live at Red Rocks was I think the first record we listened to of the band, and
Wow.
that's when I heard the crowd singing back and just the magnitude of sound, just like
Right.
it was so huge.
Right.
Um,
No, something different about Red Rocks for sure. Something
yeah,
totally magical, actually.
I know, and to listen to that record, and I mean that like I said, that was the first time I had ever heard of Red Rocks as well, and so that became like my the pinnacle of venues for me, on my bucket list of places to play, and I mean that was in a roundabout way because of Dave, and
Wow.
um, so yeah, crazy how everything
Wow.
has worked out and come full circle, and then stepping onto that stage for the first time and playing music on that stage, that was one of those moments that like everyone's like, "Hey, what was it like?" And I'm
Right.
like, "I don't know, I don't even know." I
Yeah,
could
it was
just,
just a lot, I'm sure, but also
yeah,
beautiful and wonderful and a little scary and, all of those
It's
things.
all of those things for sure, and I've been saying a lot lately, like just this last year has been really fun, and getting to go on stage with Dave and the band, and people are like, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, "Well, you know, I don't think that I don't necessarily feel like it's nervous because I have
Mhm.
been nervous before,
Right.
and it's more like that feeling of getting on a roller coaster. It's like when you're standing
Yes.
in line waiting to get on, that's the feeling I'm feeling. It's like I love roller coasters,
Right,
so
right.
I'm not nervous. I'm stoked.
It's like a thrill, right? It's a
Yeah, it's a thrill,
thrill.
and
Yeah.
that to me is like there is no other thrill for me. I love to ski. We've been up here skiing, and um, I love to fly airplanes, and I love to ride
Like
roller
real
coasters.
airplanes?
Yeah, that's a whole
Why
nother
am I
story.
doing this? Like driving a
That's
car? This
right.
is how you
No,
do you
that's
drive
how
an
you fly an
airplane this
airplane.
way?
Yeah. Except
So
it
you
goes like
drive
this too.
all so
Yeah.
real airplanes, you also do that?
I haven't done it in a long time, but I wanted to be a pilot. That was
Wow.
my dream before I became a hippie musician. I wanted to be in the Air Force, and I ended up having migraine headaches, and that were stress induced. So I
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
I couldn't be a fighter pilot, and that's what I wanted to do. My brother was in the military, and when I was growing up, he was a truck driver in the army, and I
Mhm.
wanted to be the guy that protected the truck drivers. So
Cool.
there's a plane called an A-10 Warthog, and that's all I wanted to do because I wanted to protect my brother. But
Wow.
anyway, it didn't work out, and I think that was for a reason. If I would have become an A-10 pilot, I would have gone because of the timing. I would have gone to Afghanistan, and
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't think that would have been a good thing. So,
No, maybe not.
um,
Well, let's
yeah.
back up in time a little bit because I do want to be aware of the fact that some people may listen to this podcast and go, I don't know who Jake Simpson is. Not most people do, but I want to give it to those people that really just don't have a clue and they fell into this podcast and they're like, okay, we need to back up a little bit. So let's talk. You've mentioned that you are, of course, I know you're a musician, but when did all that start? Like, did you just pick up an instrument one day and go, I'm going to do this? Did you go through band in high school? Like, what's the beginning story for you to even become a musician?
Well, it's a long story, but I can tell you that whenever I mean, before I was born, my family was a family that loved music and still is. And so, when I was born, I just sort of fell into this. Like I said, my family going to music shows all over the place, and we used to have a pig roast every October, at my Uncle Benny's farm, and it was called the Chigger Hill Farm, which you
Chiggers.
could have you could have come because you were only an hour away in Springdale.
Yep. Yep.
We're just right there in Wyandotte.
I know what a
My
chigger is. Not everybody knows what chiggers are. They're a terrible thing, actually.
they're not fun. They're just like the worst invisible bugs that bite the crap out of you. But
Yep.
so my Uncle Ben, he has the Chigger Hill Farm, and we would have a pig roast every year, and there was always music. He built a stage in his barn, and the last couple of years we had it, there were hundreds of people there, and
Oh.
my cousin Derek and his dad played. It was more his dad for a while Derek was getting older, but um, when I started, I was like 2 or 3 years old, and my mom taught me some jokes. My dad taught me some jokes, and my mom made me a little guitar out of a cardboard box with some rubber bands on it. And I would get up at the pig roast and tell jokes and try to strum along, with everybody.
Yeah.
And
Do you,
then,
random question, because I have to ask this, like, do you remember, or have you been told by any people in your family, like, what those jokes were? Like, even one of them, do you know, like, what you were telling people at 2 or 3 years
oh
old?
man, yeah, I
Come
know
on.
'em.
I love a good dad joke. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, okay, so whenever I was little, I couldn't say my R's,
Yeah.
and so they love for me to tell the joke. What do you call a parrot wearing a raincoat? Because that question right there is impossible if you can't say your R's.
Yeah.
So what do you call a parrot wearing a raincoat? The punchline is polyunsaturated. Isn't that great?
That's a big joke for a little guy, though.
Well, yeah, I think that was the point. I think that was the
Yeah.
only reason it was funny. But how do you catch a unique rabbit?
I don't know.
Unique up on it.
You sneak up on it. That's right. Unique
You
up
sneak
on
up
it.
on it.
I'm
And
going
how
to
do you
use these
catch
later around the table.
and how do you catch a tame rabbit?
I don't know.
The tame way. They're terrible. They are jokes for 5-year-olds. But
I love that.
so I
We
would
sit
get up
around
and
the
tell
dinner table
jokes
and tell those all the time. We're just like, it's fun, right?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Guide Through Grief. I'd like to share a clip from the podcast so you can get a feel for what's in store.
It was definitely Dave Matthews Band. Their music became therapeutic. Steady as we go. There was one night Leslie was in the hospital when she was in a coma, and I had no other prayers. I had no other things to say. And I found myself just singing her that song a bunch that week. I really leaned into their music to get through.
I'm glad you had Dave.
Well, it was fun enough for me to want to do it all the time. And I told everybody that my name was Roy Rogers until I was 4. He was a singing cowboy, and that's what I wanted to be, Again,
Yeah.
like my brother, he was a cowboy, a real cowboy. And so I looked up to him, and I wanted to be a cowboy. I wanted to play music. And so my grandma would always play me old Roy Rogers videos. And so I guess I don't know.
You're Roy
I wanted to be
Rogers.
just like him. And then, yeah, I kept going to shows with my folks and my family, and we would go to Silver Dollar City all the time
Yeah.
in Branson.
It's a big deal
And
here. It's a big deal.
yeah, I know. It's our only place of vacation, isn't it?
But I love it. I love it. It's old, like 1800 settings. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't been to Silver Dollar City or haven't heard of it, it's a theme park, and the theme is like late 1800s, early 1900s Ozark Mountain culture, which is a pretty cool
Mhm.
thing. And
Mhm.
it made me proud to be from there, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seeing all the craftsmen that come to all the festivals and
Mhm.
make really cool things that people have forgotten how to make.
Right.
And build homes, build log cabins, and make food. And so I grew up going there at least 2 or 3 times a year, and it would be my parents and my godparents and me. And we would always go to Silver Dollar City and see the Homestead Pickers. And
Mhm.
there were this group of older guys that would sit down at, I think it's called McAfee's Cabin, which was the oldest structure in the theme park. And they'd sit down there and they would play shows 3 times a day, every day. and we would always go. And the oldest guy, his name was Grandpa Vern. He played the fiddle, and he would pick me up on his knee and help me play the fiddle. And they let me tell jokes and would give me a hard time, you know. And so when we would come home from Branson, I would always just beg my parents for a fiddle. And my 4th birthday, my godparents bought me one. And
Wow.
I started taking lessons when I was 5. I started taking classical lessons. And it's all downhill, uphill. I never know how
From
to use
there.
that
I don't know. I
phrase.
think in this story he went uphill because downhill is, I think, bad. So it was
Well,
uphill.
but see, that's
I don't
where I
know.
get confused. That's where I get confused, because if you're riding a bike, you want to be going downhill.
Downhill or running, anything really.
Yeah. So it makes more sense to me that it's all downhill from here would be a good thing.
Well,
See, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
But don't ask me.
I don't know either. So you started really young. And I mean, I can't imagine seeing a little guy out there, 4 or 5 years old playing anything. You look towards it. And so you stuck with it, which is such a really cool thing, because I think about even my children at that age, or even me as a child, a lot of people that start something at 4 or 5 don't stick to it, right? Whether it's music or dancing or whatever it is, but you stuck with it. So it must have come to you naturally. I won't say easily because you put the work in, but talk about that a little bit. Like, did it just seem to make sense to you? And I
Well,
know that was a long time ago.
no, I have to give my parents a lot of credit because of the way that they supported me. And it wasn't just like, oh yeah, he wants to do this, so let's let him do it. It was like
Mhm.
my mom made me shirts, and she, my mom and dad would drive me to all these things, and they invested so much money into me making an album. I made an album when I was 11, and I also started selling those albums, and I don't want to make it seem like they had a lot of money, because my parents, my mom worked 2 jobs for the longest time, and my dad worked and worked to support
Mhm.
my music habit.
Right.
But it has always felt like just a part of me. I never even thought about doing anything else aside from being a pilot. I
Mhm.
still would have played music for sure in some
Mhm.
capacity. I just always felt like it was a part of me. And
Good.
I do have to give my parents a lot of credit for taking me to all those shows and
Mhm.
kind of pushing me out there, but they didn't have to push me out there. I wanted to be there, and I wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think maybe I think I was 12 or 13, and all my friends are playing football,
Mhm.
and I wanted to play football really badly. And my dad said that I couldn't play football until I was in high school, because he was a paramedic, and he said that most of the injuries that they got were like little kids who played football for
Mhm.
breaking their bones that weren't developed yet. So I was like, well, I want to be with my friends, and so I don't want to do this fiddle thing. And I quit for like a month. And then I was
Wow.
like, no, I want to play. So
I love
I
it.
took a very short break, and it's always been a part of me. And I don't know what I would do if I couldn't be involved in music in some capacity.
Well, hopefully you'll
Um,
never have to see. When you got into middle school and high school, of course, there's just more opportunities for students in general to get involved in music, things like marching band. Did you get involved in any of that, or did you just try to kind of stay solo?
yeah, I played a bunch of different instruments in band growing up. My parents asked my violin instructor which instrument I should play in the band at school, and he said bass drum. He said put him in the marching band and have him play the bass drum, because he needs to learn good timing.
Yeah.
He said I'll teach him everything else he needs to know, but he needs to learn good timing, and that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
So I played the drums in the band. I played the trumpet for a little while, and I played the, I don't even know what it's called, the baritone thing.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
but mostly just played the drums in
Wow.
school, and it made my band director so mad, because I played the fiddle, and I
Right.
I don't know, I had a knack for it, and they're like, "Would you please
Right.
play anything else?" I'm like, "No, I want to play the drums."
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me how people are made, like you have this natural musical ability and obviously you've worked to get where you are now, but it is such a gift, I think, that you've been given to be able to just kind of speak music. Like you just find an instrument, whether it's the bass drum or the baritone, whatever, you've played and you just figured it out because it's not something that just everyone can do, right? If it was something everyone could do, then there would be no point in bands and things like that. Like it's kind of you feel like you had this calling. I don't know if it feels that way to you. Does it feel like a calling?
Um, I guess you could say that. I haven't thought of it that way as a calling. I just have. I really love music, and I always
Mm-hmm.
have, and I love to play music, and I love to try and figure things out on an instrument, and I love to sing, and I love the interaction with other musicians, and when you play something together that you didn't expect to play, and you go, ah, you're like, yeah.
Right. Yes.
That's
Yes.
just there's no other feeling like it for me. So,
Right.
I've got to give credit to the man upstairs or the woman
Mm-hmm.
upstairs, whoever's upstairs, because uh, I feel like every little moment in my life has been sort of guided. I have
Mm-hmm.
felt that for sure. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's not just me, and
Right.
especially this past year, everything has just felt too like there was too much oversight to ignore, if that makes any
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, I have worked really hard, but there's just some
Yes.
things that happen, and I'm like, that's not a coincidence. It's
Right.
the fact that I got to meet Dave and play with him is not a coincidence. And
Well, let's back up
um,
and talk about how in the world this all happened. We grow up, we play these instruments. Your parents really kind of helped, you do that. And you went through high school, you play all these instruments. And then what's next? Like, what is the next step after high school?
well, I moved out the day I graduated high school. The next day, because I had a job playing in a band, and I went on tour immediately. And
Dang.
yeah, I've pretty much been on the road. I mean, I was on the road before that. I would tour, and my parents would take me around until I was old enough to drive myself, and I'd go all over Iowa and Kansas and Nebraska and some in Missouri, a little in Texas, and
Yeah.
Oklahoma, and play all these shows. And so, I mean, I was already doing the thing by the time
Gotcha.
I graduated high school, and then I got a gig touring, and I played with that band for a couple years, and then I played with, I don't know how many bands, in Oklahoma, and then eventually I moved to Nashville. And I lived out of my car for a little bit, and
Was it worth it?
then I had a
Yes.
I would say so. I had an experience. Is one of those things that, like, I needed to experience that in order to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate later on in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a very dear friend of mine. Her name's Casey Groves, and she's in a band called Uncle Earl, which is an all-female bluegrass folk band. Um, and I had met her a few years prior, and we became immediate friends. When I was in Nashville, she called me and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sitting here eating an ice cream cone." And she said, "No, what are you doing in Nashville? Like, why are you there?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I'm playing music." And she was like, "Oh, are you having fun?" And I was like, "Not really." And she said, "Are you
Not
making
living
any
in your
money?"
car.
Yeah, she said, "Are you making any money?" And I said, "No."
Right.
And she said, "Well, why don't you come to Colorado, and you can live with my husband and I, and you can work construction with him, and um, I'll help you get some gigs, and we'll try to get you going." So
Yeah.
I moved to Colorado, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
Casey Groves is like my second mother, and she truly helped me
Yeah.
in more ways than just music. Casey and Donnie kind of ushered me into being a good man. My parents laid the groundwork, and they kind of, they're like, hey, you can't act like that.
Yeah, man,
You
isn't it
actually
good to have
can't.
people that invest in you and really do
Yeah.
kind of show you the ropes of life? It's I mean, honestly, such a blessing, I think, to have those people just kind of go, hey, let me help you out in any way that we can, because they did have the ability to do so because of them, already having a band and stuff. So how incredibly kind of them
Yeah,
to do that for you. And so
I
I'm sure
know.
that was
And
life changing.
it truly was. Casey's husband, Donnie, is like, he is like a very, like a perfect, role model of a man. And, like he's strong and he can do everything. And, he's patient and he speaks softly. And,
Mm-hmm.
I not only got the music lesson I needed from Casey, and, and we had many long drives together and talked about life. And that led me to get in a roundabout way, to get my gig with the last band I was touring with before I joined Lucas's band, the Little Smokies. Casey encouraged me to reach out to Billy Strings, who was coming through Colorado. And I reached out to him, and he was like, dude, sorry, I've already got a band. And I was like, well, what don't you have? He's
Right.
like, well, I don't have a, yeah. He's like, I don't have a mandolin player. And I was like, well, I play mandolin. And he said, I can't pay you anything. And I said, well, there's a festival at the end of this run, and if you'll let me go to that festival and play with you, then I'll just do it for that.
Mm-hmm.
And but Casey encouraged me to talk to him, and
Yeah.
so I did. And then I went to that festival and I met the Smokies, and I was playing in their band on tour a month later. So
Wow. And that was a whole different level of touring than what you had been doing previously. Is that correct?
yeah, I had only sort of been like a weekend warrior, or up to that
Yeah.
point. I think the longest that I had actually been on a tour was maybe like 2 weeks. And when I joined the
Yeah.
Smokies, we were doing close to 200 shows a year, and doing like 5 and 6 week
Wow.
tours, that was a whole new ball game.
So we know that you're not with the Little Smokies anymore, but talk about how did that end? I mean, and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, so we were on a good roll there for a little while. And in 2019 we played at Red Rocks, which was a big deal for us. And we had made a new record in the fall of 2019, and we were planning to release it in February of 2020. And you know what happened in 2020. So
Yeah.
we had an entire year of shows. I think we canceled somewhere along the lines of like 180 shows in 2020, and we released that album, and we had spent most all of our money on making that record, with
Mm-hmm.
the thought that we might recoup some of it going on tour. And
Right.
then when the pandemic happened,
Mm.
we were pretty broke, and then
Yeah.
as time went on and things became more and more uncertain, our bass player and our banjo player both decided that they were just going to go ahead and move on. And I've got a lot of respect for those guys for doing that. And both of those dudes are doing well now, and uh, so anyway, we had to find a replacement bass player and a replacement banjo player, and that took a while,
Yeah.
to get the right guys in there. And we had
Right.
some help from good friends that kind of helped keep us afloat. But it never really got back to where it was before the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, and we were having to work harder and harder and harder for a smaller and smaller return.
Yeah.
And so it was getting to like, we're getting rock, paper, scissors for who's sharing a hotel rooms tonight. And,
Yeah.
we went from touring in a Sprinter van, with a trailer, to like renting a couple minivans, and, that may sound silly, but the comfortability factor on the road is kind of what makes or breaks it, because at some point you start getting older and your body doesn't like being in a van for 8 to 12
No.
hours every day.
No.
And carrying all the gear around and everything. It's like something that I was willing to do, but
Right.
there's no ignoring the fact that it is hard on you, and especially when you're sitting in the van and you're watching all the beautiful days go by, and you're thinking
Mhm.
about your family and thinking about
Mhm.
people that you're not having that time with. And
Right.
now, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm extremely fortunate to have the job that I do, and I love it, and I hope to do it till I'm very old. But that particular time with those particular guys, we had been doing it for a long time together,
Mhm.
and it just got to the point to where I don't know if it wasn't, Andy, our lead singer, was the one that called me and was basically like, dude, I can't do this anymore. It might have been me a week later. I think it was too hard, and people felt like they were missing out on things that were more worth their time.
Yeah.
And so we made a beautiful record together. It's one of the most beautiful
Mhm.
records I've ever been a part of, and we released it and played 3 more shows. And that was it. And I don't think that we'll ever play another show. I really don't. And that's okay. I love all those guys, and I hope I get to see everybody again at some point. Andy and I, we're playing some shows together. He doesn't want to tour, but if it's a show here and there that's not too far from home, he'll do it. So we're
Right.
playing March 14th in Whitefish, Montana,
Hey.
at a place called Star Meadow Ranch, and that's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Hell yeah. So how do
yeah.
you fit Dave in behind the scenes and all of this? Because of course you're a fan, and we listen to music no matter what we're doing. You can be making music and listening to music too, right? And
Yeah.
so how did Dave Matthews Band still fit into this? Like, when did you fit them in as far as continuing to listen to their music?
I mean, I listen to Dave all the time. I still do, and I know a lot of his songs because they're fun to learn. They're hard. They're really
Yeah,
challenging
I've heard.
to learn. His guitar parts, and to sing the melodies. The rhythms of the lyrics are completely counter to a lot of the guitar parts, and so it's a real challenge, and it's fun to try and play. So, I mean, Dave's always been there, been in my
He's
ears,
always been
and
there. Yeah.
yeah.
I call the
Yeah.
band the soundtrack of my life because,
Yeah.
while they may not have always been like at the forefront, they've always been there, right? Like just because of my age, in 1991, I was 11. You're younger than I am. So, I haven't been part of all of it, but
Yeah.
they are still the soundtrack of my life. There's not a time in my life where I can't feel like, okay, yeah, this was going on or that was going on, or I heard about that. I wasn't there because I wasn't old enough and my mama would have never let me go. But like, I was always aware of them. So the soundtrack of my life. So it kind of sounds like, they were always there in the background for you too, which is something a lot of fans say, it's always there when I need it. And it's not just the music, it's the lyrics, it's the vibe. It's like what you talked about earlier about the energy of what we can feel from the fan standpoint out in the crowd. And we do feel that exchange of gratitude and just like all the vibes and everything. And so there's just always been a place. So how in the world do you go from Little Smokies to the Lucas Nelson Band? How does that all work out? And did you know
Yeah.
him?
I had met Lucas a couple times, just sort of in passing. We played at some festivals that he was at, but um, yeah, I mean, this is when I just I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you what happened, and
Tell me what happened.
that it's what happened to me. I can't expect anybody else to feel the same way as I do. But when Andy called me, I was at my little girl's softball game, and that was on a Sunday. And basically, I said, okay, that's cool. We'll figure it out. Click, and then my brain was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. What are we gonna do?
Right. I
And
gotta have a job.
yeah, so I started looking at jobs, and I was gonna maybe drive for like Amazon or whatever I could do.
Whatever it took.
I downloaded I think it's called Indeed, which is the job searching app,
Yeah.
And I grew up in a Southern Baptist household. My mom plays
Me
piano
too.
in church every Sunday. She still does. She still plays piano in church every Sunday. And I have had my own spiritual journey as I became an adult. I feel like I've always been a spiritual person, but maybe kind of strayed away from some of those
Yeah,
super
I
strict
understand. I
Southern
grew up in a
Baptist.
Southern Baptist household myself, and I'm not 100% anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, but I've always known, I've always known how to pray. I've
Mhm.
always known that was one thing that I learned very young was how to talk to God. And so I got on my knees and I said, "Listen, God," I said, "I've always heard, if you just turn it over,
Mhm.
if you turn over your problem, well, I've got a problem and I would
Mhm.
love your input."
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm having this conversation with the ceiling and basically what I said was, give me a chance to do something good and I'll do everything I can. I'll work as hard as I can. And the other promise I made was that I would tell everybody that it was him. And
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Mhm. I love
And
that.
on Thursday, I got a text message. I completely out of the blue. I played for the Little Smokies for 9 years, and not
Wow.
one single time did anybody send me a text message or an email or call me to ask me to be in their band or anything. You know,
Right. Right.
um, and so just I got a text message, and it was from Lucas's manager, and she said, "Hey Jake, we're putting together a new band for Lucas Nelson. A couple of people recommended you, and we looked at your Instagram, and Lucas likes your vibe," was what she
Ooh.
said. And she said, "Would you be interested in um, submitting some videos of you playing some songs?"
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Yeah, I
Yes.
would,"
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I got that message. I was on the phone with Andy from the Smokies, and I
Mhm.
just laughed. I chuckled, and I said, "You got to hear this."
Yeah.
And I read it to him, and we both just died laughing. We just cackled because it's just what are the odds? And
What are the
um,
odds?
so they sent me the songs on Friday, and I learned them and sent them back. And Lucas called me on Saturday, and he said, "Jake, I want you to be in my band." He said, I want you to sing, and he said, "I need you to play my guitar parts." He said, "I need you to play my guitar parts so that I can focus on singing. I really want to be able to focus on my singing. So you got to learn those parts." And he said, "Can you do that?" And I said, "Yep." And I hung up the phone, and I called my buddy Terry, and I said, "I need a guitar."
Mhm. Yep.
Because I didn't even have really a passable electric setup at that point. So I still don't have an amp of my own, but I started learning to play electric guitar. I played acoustic guitar, for years, but it's a different thing.
Sure.
It's very very similar, but it is definitely a different monster. And so I just started playing electric guitar nonstop, and um, yeah, I haven't screwed it up bad enough to get fired just yet.
Not yet. I mean, but
Yeah.
that goes back to me saying earlier that it was a calling, and now that I've kind of heard all of these things, I believe in that more. Like I think I know you're exactly where you're supposed to be in life, and I don't know how that makes you feel. I'm sure that that feels really good, but I believe that you're going to do a great job just making a lot of people happy, and that is not even like how I want to describe it, because from a fan standpoint to any musician, we just receive so much. You know that as a fan of DMB, like you just receive so much. And so to be in this position now where you're getting to throw it out and people receive, all of the things that you give out, what a great thing to get to be a part of. And so I do believe that this is your calling and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I know that Dave Matthews fans really believe that you're doing what you're supposed to, because they're just so happy with you right now. You are like on all of the social media things. I mean, you're a household name now. Like people go Jake and they're like, yeah, I know. We're not talking about Jake from State Farm anymore. We're talking about you.
Somebody sent me a message and told me that they named their dog after me. And that's one of the greatest honors I've ever had in my life.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's so funny because I debated on today. I was like, I have 2 dogs and their name is Jake and Bella. And I was like, do I mention that I have a dog named Jake? And I said, that might be like, I don't know how to take that. Like I got a dog named Jake, But I'm glad that you think that it's okay.
What's the name of that? There's an old song and there's a line in it. If I die before I wake, feed Jake.
Oh, it's all true. It's a true.
Yeah,
Jake wants to be fed.
For the first time in my life, I'm not ashamed to say that I do feel like I am where I need to be, where I'm supposed to be, and it truly is the first time in my life. As a musician, even whenever I've had good jobs, good gigs, there's still this looming uncertainty that I know everybody feels, but it's just like you never know if today might be the last time you ever play a show.
Yeah.
And that became super, super real for me. Yeah, I do feel like I am where I'm supposed to be, and that's a really great feeling.
It is.
Just
it is.
a little bit of control is nice.
Sure.
In such a chaotic music world, but
right, just some steadiness. Like, okay, we're here and we're safe and we're going to be doing this for a little while, and this feels good. Yeah, like I get that completely. I think everyone can kind of relate to that in some way, whether you're an accountant or a truck driver. Just knowing that you're solid feels really good, because then like everything's okay, and that's worth so much for just your mental health, your anxiety, like in life. It makes you feel really good. So of course you landed the gig. You've been doing that for how long now?
So I guess that was in April of last year.
Okay.
When all that went down. And our first show was at Red Rocks, which was crazy.
Wow.
We went to Austin and we rehearsed at Lucas's dad's studio down there for like 6 or 7 days, something like that. And then we all flew to Denver and we played at Red Rocks, and
wow.
And it's just been one thing after the other ever since then. That first couple weeks of being on tour with Lucas was when he asked me, we were in the green room before a show, and he said, "How do you feel about Dave Matthews?" And I was like, "Why do you ask?" And he's like, "Well, I was just curious." And I was like, "Well, I think verbatim what I said was, I'm kind of a freak about him," is what I said. And he chuckled and he was like, "Well, you must be excited for the shows in Montana." And I was like, What are you talking about?"
Right.
And he's like, "Well, we're playing Wildlands 2 nights in Montana with Dave, and it's just gonna be Dave solo." And I was like, "No way, dude." And he was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "We're probably gonna play with him." And I was just like,
what? Everything was in slow motion at that point, probably like, what is happening now?
yeah. And so then he's like, "What are some of your favorite songs?" And I told him a couple, and he gets out his phone and he's doing this, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm texting Dave." And I was like, "Dude, what?" Like, it just was blowing my mind. So and then
and also
sure
a little
enough,
pressure, like, oh shit, you're what? You're telling me my thoughts? I'm sure it felt really good as a fan. Yeah.
It was obviously very, very exciting. And then I found out that we were gonna play some songs with Dave as a full band, and like that was just, I don't know, I don't know how to describe that feeling. It was definitely a surprise and exciting for sure.
Yes, yes. Of you that are listening or watching, of course, we know that Jake went on to play at the Gorge as well. But before we get into that conversation, one of the things that I did for this episode that I thought would be fun was I posted on social media, what would you ask Jake? Okay, so this is from Ashley Frank. She said, what was going through your mind when you heard the crowd chanting, sign him up at the Gorge?
Yeah. Immediately when it very first started, I was just cackling. I was just laughing so hard because it was just like
What's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then as I was standing there, I was just thinking like about, you ever see, like the old Gladiator movies, whenever the people at the Coliseum are all chanting, whatever it is at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be pretty close to what it felt like, because there's almost 40,000 people there. And so that was I'm never gonna forget that moment.
No. Intense in a good way, right? Like, because things can be
Absolutely.
intense, but like be really awesome at the same time. I can imagine that it would have been intense. Not that you had not been used to being, applauded and all of those things, but this was just a different level. Can I say that? Was it a different level?
Absolutely. And so I had my in-ears in, and whenever I have them in, I can hear I can hear the crowd, but kind of not maybe like 30%, volume.
Yeah.
And so I heard the chant start, and I took my ears out and was like, just kind of taken aback by just the sheer volume, and it was really cool. It was awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
This is from Karen and Ryan. What has been your favorite moment on stage with Dave? And then what has been your favorite moment at a show as a fan?
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, obviously anytime I'm playing with Dave and I play something and I get him to smile, that's a good feeling. But at Farm Aid, I was playing with those guys, and I got Tim to smile. So that was pretty huge.
It's a big deal.
But yeah, just playing anything with them, and the fact that Dave has sort of allowed me the freedom to do whatever I want. He told me, he's appreciative that I know the parts, but he wants me to do whatever I want musically. So anytime I get the opportunity to step on stage with those guys and play is special. It's hard to pick a specific moment.
Oh, I'm sure. It's like trying to pick a favorite child. You can't do that.
Well, fortunately for me, I only have one, so that's easy. But
you have one, so it's very easy. You're like, you're my favorite.
And then maybe my favorite moment as a fan was, I guess it might not count because it wasn't necessarily a show, but at Wildlands in Montana, when Dave was sound checking, I had only seen one other show, and it was at Fiddler's Green in Colorado. And so seeing Dave sing by himself for sound check, that was the first time I'd ever seen that. And I don't know, it was just that was a really cool moment. I was standing over kind of in front of the stage, but off to the side, and just hearing all those songs, come from the guy.
Wow.
Was pretty special for me.
I bet so. Thank you for answering that one. Okay. This is from Rushton Harbor Overbeat. Who was your biggest musical influence growing up?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What is going on, Space Between podcast listeners? This is David, drummer with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, here to tell you about some of our upcoming tours to close out this year and to start the next. We are super stoked to be hitting the road December 26th through 30th for our Gamblers and Robbers New Year's Eve run to close out 2025. We're going to be playing some of our favorite venues around the Northeast for this mini tour, so we hope to see some of our usual faces there and newcomers to ring in the new year with us. Then, after a short break to start 2026, we're going to be hitting the road for the remainder of our Tomorrow We Die tour. This winter tour will feature dates in the Northeast and Midwest in January, with a run down to the Southeast and Florida in February. Moving on to March, the highlight will be going out west for usual stops in the Colorado area, but then this time making it all the way to California for 4 shows on the West Coast, which we could not be more excited for. Go ahead and grab your tickets at thedmtb.com, and we hope to see you on the road. Enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, I think, we kind of talked about some of them earlier, and I've had different influences at different times in my life that were all equally as important, and some of those
Yeah,
people that
I think.
were so influential, maybe you never heard of them. I had people that showed me little things here and there on the fiddle that kind of elevated my playing to the next level. And yes, some of those people, honestly, some of the older people that I met when I was very young that showed me things that helped me, like, they passed away and I don't remember some of their names, but
Right,
there's
right.
one fellow from Oklahoma that really helped me out a lot when I was young, and his name's Jim Garling, and he's still playing cowboy music. He's been playing cowboy music his
Heck,
whole life, and um, but some of the bigger names, like, in the bluegrass world, I kind of wanted to be Sam Bush, and he's I can't wait to hear what people have to say about this, but he's kind of the Dave Matthews of the bluegrass world. I'll just say it. In my
yeah.
opinion, he was one of the first guys that I ever heard, like, jam. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I had heard bluegrass music, but I went to a festival in Colorado called Rocky Grass, and Sam Bush was headlining. And when I heard their band, I was like, "Oh, this is bluegrass with the drummer," and then they would jam, and that was something that I had never
Yes.
really I had never really experienced before. So Sam Bush was a huge influence for me.
Sam Bush. I'm
Um,
taking notes
yeah.
because you just gave me homework. You gave
Oh
everybody
yeah.
homework.
You got to listen to Sam, and I love him for a lot of the same reasons that I love Dave. He's been a band leader and songwriter, and he just creates this big monster of a sound.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, Sam Bush,
Yeah. We'll check
and
out
and
some
then I,
Sam Bush.
and then I started learning about all the fiddle players, kind of via Sam, like Richard Green. And Richard Green was one of the first fiddle players to plug into effects pedals, like guitar effects pedals. And
Uh-huh.
in the 70s and 80s, he was playing through an amp. And um, yeah, and then I would have to say, in a totally, like, curveball, Iron and Wine. Um,
Yes. I love Iron and
listening
Wine. They're
to
so good.
listening to his songs really made me want to write songs.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so there's a handful.
Yeah, that's that. Hey, that's a lot of. I always assign homework on this show, so every episode I'm saying, "Hey, you have to go learn about this," because again, there's so much history within this band, and I'm the. What did you say you were? You're when that someone asked if you like Dave Matthews Band, you said you're. Did you say you're weird about it?
I
What
know
did
I
you
said I'm
say?
kind of a freak. I'm kind of a freak.
Kind of a freak about it. Well, I can
Yeah.
understand that, like, on a cellular level, because I just have journals and notebooks where I just go through, okay, we're going to learn about 1995 and just go through it. And I enjoy doing that. So I feel what you're saying there. I think you know this lady. Actually, I know you know this lady because, well, she did a t-shirt for you. Kim McClure
Yes.
in Florida. Hey, yes. Hey, Kim. Thanks for dropping a note here. So she asked, how many musical instruments do you play and which are your favorites? And then she asked a lot more questions, but we'll just start with that one first.
Sure. Well, I would say the fiddle is my primary instrument, and that's the one that I feel the most comfortable on, and it's kind of like an extension of my arm. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then the guitar is a close second, and right now, like, I really love playing guitar because there's a lot, and fiddle is the same way, but there's a lot that's still very new to me. And when I kind of figure something out on guitar, it seems like more of an achievement. Um, so I've been playing a lot of guitar. I also play the mandolin, but not. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to stand next to Sierra Hall on stage and try to play the mandolin.
You're right. She
Um,
can play.
yep, she's a ripper and one of my very favorite musicians out there. And
Yes.
then I can play the bass. You know, I don't play it very often, but I love to play the bass. It's one of my favorite instruments to play. Um, and then you know, I
And that's a
count
lot.
singing at I count singing as an
It
instrument,
is
and
an
that's
instrument. It is.
that's one that I love very much. I love to sing, and I would say that those are like that's primarily it. I kind of mess around with different
That's a
things
lot.
here and there, but that's you know I was a failed pianist. I tried, and I can't get this hand to do this while this one's doing this. So uh,
Yeah. Some people
so
just
yeah,
can do it and other people can't. That's the
I
way
so
all this works, right?
yep, yep. But anyway, yeah, I would say fiddle and guitar primarily, you know.
Okay. Okay. She also said, also, I've watched videos of you singing and you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thanks,
You just
Kim.
talked about that. Do you hope to do more singing in the future?
Yes, I do. I'm about to leave tomorrow to go to Jam Cruise. I'm performing on Jam Cruise as artist at large, so I'll be playing fiddle with whoever will have me, and then I have my own set on the last day, and that'll be me singing. And yeah, you know, I've wanted to make my own
Awesome.
record for a long time, and it's just never been the right place, right time in my life. And I'm starting to get the ball rolling there. I'm actually going to be recording a duo album with my friend Andy from the Smokies here in March. So we'll have something out, you know, probably by late spring, early summer. And then my goal is to record a full length, full band record of my songs. You know, I've been writing songs since I was about 18, and I finally have enough that I think are passable. Um, and I'd love to make a record. So as soon as I can fit that into my
Wow.
financial schedule and my actual calendar schedule, then we'll make it happen. But yeah, I love to sing, and I'm always singing around somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, right? Like, even if you don't have a voice, I sing all the time. I could never get paid for it, but it's fun, right? Like, I think in
That's
general,
all
a lot of
right.
people just like to do it, whether it's a jingle from a commercial, those things get in your head and then you just start
Yeah,
singing them.
yeah.
So
It's
everybody, I
important.
think most people like to sing. It
Yeah,
is. It
I
makes you
don't
feel
I don't know
better.
where I don't know where I read it, but you know, some was probably a meme somewhere, but uh, is like you know, when did you become unhappy? And then the next thing is when did you stop dancing and when did you stop singing? So I
Yeah.
think it's very important to sing, whether you think you're good or not. I think you ought to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, this is from Christine Collier Muzo. What was your personal feelings and initial response after receiving all of this attention and also being invited to play with Dave Matthews? What does it feel like now to just be on this level where you are a household name? Is it even like fathomable?
Well, it's a lot of things, you know. And first of all, I'd just like to say thanks to all the fans that have accepted me and have reached out and said nice things. I've got all of your messages, and sorry, I'm trying to respond, but there are a lot of them,
It's a lot, I'm
and
sure.
and I am very appreciative, you know, not just for the obvious reasons, but also
Right.
because I'm a fan, and I know how integral the sound of the fiddle is in the band. And I've said this before, you know, but I'm just trying to do it justice as best I can, while also staying true to myself. And
Mm,
I have heard some comments from a couple people that are like, that's not how that goes, or that doesn't sound right. And I don't want to be Boyd. You know, Boyd is his own guy. He
right.
has his own style,
Right.
and I'll,
Right.
I'll never sound like he did. You know, not exactly.
Right.
I could learn every single part note for note, but the reason that I love Dave is because, if you go back and you listen to the live recordings of all these songs, they're never the same. And that's because everybody is expressing themselves in the moment. And yeah, you hit the parts and you play the parts that are there, but it's all about expression. And truly, I think that's why Dave had such a big impact on me, because like it is loose sometimes. It's not like you listen to Kings of Leon, who is one of my very favorite bands, and I just saw them for the first time in concert this year, and I went and I watched, and it was awesome. It was one of the best rock and roll shows I've ever seen. They played every song exactly like the record,
Wow.
and I wouldn't expect them to do anything different. But what I'm saying is Dave is a different thing, and so I'm also trying to stay true to that while trying to honor the fans and honor the music and the parts that have been written and played. So yeah, that's a roundabout way to say
I think you're doing it right.
I am really appreciative of the people that have realized that and have been so supportive. It has been overwhelming, and an overwhelming amount of support. And I just want to let everybody know that I'm not trying to string anybody along or be wishy-washy about all this. I don't know if I'm playing with Dave Matthews until a week before. That's been the way that it's been
It's a
every single
surprise
time.
to you.
It is every single time. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you the screenshots of the text with the dates on them, and but it's cool. Like I don't need any more heads up, really. It's like and what Dave has said to me is like, I'm not going to steal you from Lucas. He's my buddy. He said, so if you're available, come play.
Right.
And that's been the way that it's been, and
Right.
I think that's the way that it's going to be, but I don't know any more than you guys do. So
Rob Kelly asked, how do you stay so humble and also be a total badass? That's a hard one, right?
My dad used to always sing me that song. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. You know that song? And
Yes.
he sang it all the time. And as I got older, I realized, that was my lesson in humility. And again, I've been fortunate to have been surrounded by a lot of really great people in my life. And my godfather was one of them, who I'm named after, my middle name, Renick. And truly, I think he was a picture of humility, because he had everything, but you would never necessarily know it. Like he never bragged about anything, and he was so happy, and he was so gracious and giving to anybody who needed anything. For a couple years, my parents lived in a rent house of his for free, and he owned a Pizza Hut, so he'd bring them pizza when they never asked for it, but I think he knew that they were pinching pennies. So I watched people like Renick and other people in my lives who could be real jerks, but they're not. And I've also been around people that are completely full of themselves, and I know how people feel about them, so I've had lessons, and I've had to check myself a few times in my life too, and
Sure.
I always want to be humble and appreciative of everything that I have, all the blessings in my life. And yeah, just keep working hard. There's always somebody better.
Okay, let's see. Let's read one more. Well, here, let's just end it with this one. This is from Samuel Fain Maugerman. I really hope that I did your name justice. Okay, Samuel, this is what he posted. It's not a question, it's a statement. Just want to thank him for having the love of making music, because we have the love of hearing it.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And not to get too not to get too hippy dippy with it, but in this crazy world that we're living in, I think the only thing that's gonna save us is love. I truly believe that. And when I'm sitting
Absolutely.
around thinking about what can I do to contribute right now, I just try to figure out how I can share love, and usually it's through music. So
Yeah.
I'm actively
Yeah.
trying my best to continue that mission. So thank you, and thanks for listening.
Yeah. Yeah, you're filling a lot of people's hearts and making people happy in a time where it's really needed, and that's even I guess my want for this show, not only to document the fans, but also just to spread some stories of hope and happiness, because we are living in such a time where it's hard to hear those stories, and when we turn the news on, we're not hearing all these stories of hope and joy and love, and we're hearing horrible things that can get to you alone. And so thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for documenting your story. I, of course, invite you to come on in a few years. I don't know what you're going to do. You don't even know what you're going to do. You don't know if Dave's going to call you back up and be like, hey, come on. You don't know. So it'll be a surprise for all of us. But of course, I invite you to come back and update us on what's been happening since this story.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And
Absolutely.
yeah, once a fan, always a fan. No matter
That's
what.
right. That's right. Guys, if for those of you that are listening on a podcast app, just make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you know when the next episode is coming out. You never know who's going to be on the show next. And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. You will also get notified of who is next. So guys, until the next time, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.
Hey, this is Carolyn, the founder and CEO of the nonprofit safeinharmsway.org. It's an honor to be part of the Space Between podcast family, and very thankful to Renae for offering us time to talk about how people can show up for themselves or someone they love who is experiencing violence in relationships. It's a scary time in our country for people experiencing violence. 80% of the shelters in the United States are closing down due to drastic cuts from the federal government. So shelters are closing their doors and hotline calls are left unanswered. But at Safe in Harm's Way, we're launching a new initiative. We're made for this moment, and we're solving the crisis with a brand new campaign called TheLastI'mSorry.com. TheLastI'mSorry.com is a mobile-friendly site that features an interactive platform allowing for any person to identify exactly what they're experiencing and then get 2 immediate and actionable solutions based on the visitor's situation. It's built to be fast, private, and easy to exit because we recognize the danger that survivors may face just by searching for help. SafeInHarmsWay.org believes every person should have the opportunity to find unique help for their safety needs. And that's why TheLastI'mSorry.com was built for men, women, people of color, the queer community, immigrants, and medically compromised people. So check out the show notes. Save the solutions, share the resources, and save a life today.